My wife cheated with my dad. I destroyed them both. I never thought this would be my story. I had what I thought was a perfect life, a loving wife, Sarah, and a close relationship with my dad. We were a happy family, or so I believed. The signs were there, I just didn't want to see them. Sarah started working late more often, and my dad began visiting our house at odd hours, always when I wasn't home. They said it was just family looking out for each other, and I believed them. How could I not? The truth came out in the most brutal way possible. I came home early from a business trip, planning to surprise Sarah. As I walked in, I heard voices from our bedroom. I thought maybe she had a friend over. But then I heard my dad's laugh. My heart stopped. I stood there, frozen, listening to the two people I trusted most in the world betraying me in my own home. My first instinct was to burst in, to confront them, to scream. But something held me back. A cold, calculating calm washed over me. Rushing in would only give them the satisfaction of seeing my pain. No, they deserved something more. They had shattered my world, and I decided right then that I would methodically take apart theirs. I backed out of the house silently, got in my car, and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to think. My mind was racing, replaying every missed sign, every lie, every stolen glance I had ignored. The betrayal was so deep, it felt physical, like a void had opened up inside me. But in that void, a plan started to form. They had used deceit, so would I. The first step was to gather undeniable proof. I installed a small hidden camera in our bedroom. It felt like a violation of my own privacy, but it was necessary. I told Sarah I had to go on another work trip, this time for a full week. It was a lie, of course. I checked into a cheap motel just a few towns over and watched the live feed on my laptop. It only took one night. Seeing it happen on screen, in my own bed, was devastating. But it also solidified my resolve. I saved the recording, the first piece of my arsenal. Next, I turned my attention to my dad. He was a partner in a small, successful accounting firm. He prided himself on his reputation, his integrity. It was his entire identity. I knew he wasn't always as clean as he seemed. Over the years, he'd bragged about some creative accounting he'd done for certain clients. I started digging. I hired a private investigator, a forensic accountant, to look into his firm's books. It cost me a significant chunk of my savings, but I knew it would be worth it. While the investigation was underway, I played the part of the oblivious, loving husband and son. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I'd sit at dinner with Sarah, listening to her talk about her day, knowing she was lying. I'd call my dad to check in, hearing the guilt in his voice, which he tried to cover with forced cheerfulness. Every fake smile, every polite conversation felt like a small victory, bringing me one step closer to the end. They thought I was a fool, and I let them. Weeks turned into months. The pie finally hit the jackpot. My dad hadn't just been creative. He'd been embezzling money from his clients for years, funneling it into an offshore account. He had a whole secret life I knew nothing about. The proof was irrefutable. Bank statements, forged documents, a clear money trail. I had him. Now, for the final act. I planned a big family dinner. I invited my mom, my sister, my dad's business partners, and a few of Sarah's closest friends. I told everyone it was a special celebration of my parents' anniversary and my love for my wife. The stage was set. The evening started just as I planned. Everyone was laughing, sharing stories. Sarah was seated next to me, holding my hand, playing the doting wife. My dad was at the head of the table, beaming, the picture of a proud patriarch. The irony was suffocating. After the main course, I stood up to make a toast. I raised my glass and started by talking about love, trust, and family. I looked directly at Sarah, then at my dad. "I've learned recently," I said, my voice steady, "that these things are more fragile than we think. And sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who betray us most deeply. The room went quiet. I could see the confusion on people's faces. Sarah and my dad exchanged a nervous glance. I then pulled out a small remote. "I have a little video I'd like to share," I announced. "A tribute to family." I pressed the button and the TV in the living room flickered to life. It was the footage from the hidden camera. The initial confusion in the room turned to gasps of horror. Sarah's face went white. My dad looked like he was going to be sick. I let it play for a full minute before turning it off. Silence. My mom was staring at my dad, her face a mask of disbelief and heartbreak. Sarah's friends were looking at her with disgust. But I wasn't finished. "And Dad," I said, turning to him, "since we're sharing secrets, ... I pulled out a folder and slid it across the table to his business partners. "You might find this interesting. It seems Dad's creativity extends beyond his personal life." His partners opened the folder. As they read through the forensic accountant's report, their faces hardened. The game was up. My dad just sat there, defeated, his empire crumbling around him. That night, my life as I knew it ended, but a new one began. Sarah left with nothing but the clothes on her back. The prenuptial agreement she had so eagerly signed held up perfectly. My dad was fired from his firm, which then reported him to the authorities. He faced legal charges and financial ruin. My mom, after the initial shock, stood by me. Our family was broken, but a new, more honest one started to form from the pieces. Was it worth it? Some might say revenge is an empty victory. But for me, it wasn't just about revenge. It was about taking back control. They tried to make me a victim in my own life, a footnote in their sordid affair. I refused to let that happen. I destroyed the world they built on lies, and in the process, I found my own strength. It was a long, dark road, but I walked it, and I came out the other side. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever felt betrayed, know that you are not alone, and you have the strength to reclaim your life. Please subscribe for more stories of justice and empowerment.